Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are gathered here to talk about the newly established Mehta Family Centre for Engineering in Medicine. I have here with me today Professor Dhirendra Katti and Professor Nitin Gupta from the Biological Sciences and Bioengineering Department. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Can you first please talk about the centre? What's the objective of its being set up at IIT Kanpur?
So it actually started maybe 2014-15 time frame, where the department was sort of maturing. Its establishment was in 2001, so it had sort of completed 15 years of its existence, and we had almost a similar number of faculty. We were thinking that we should take the department forward and expand in a particular sort of more, should I say, productive manner. And in that context, we were doing some internal brainstorming within the department. We thought that we should look at or explore the possibilities of expanding the medical applications that the department already had. So that was one impetus. The other impetus was that at that point of time, the number of people and the number of labs was sort of very close to getting to full capacity at the current Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering, and so that was another impetus for expansion. And around that time, we had this Pan IIT Biotechnology Conference or Symposium that the Mehta Family Foundation had sponsored at IIT Madras. And this was actually held at Kodaikanal, and it had representations from all departments across IITs. And in that meeting, so during that tenure, which was I think 2016, and at that meeting, I chanced upon a meeting with Rahul Mehta, who is the sort of founder of that foundation. And then I put this proposition that he had already invested in IIT Madras. They had set up one of the buildings for the Department of Biotechnology there, and we were sort of keen on exploring possibilities with him. And I sort of proposed that, can you do something with IIT Kanpur? And he said, sure, you can make a proposal and we can take a look. And it started then. We came back to the department and sort of developed a proposal. And the proposal went back and forth between us and the Mehta Foundation. And finally, it evolved and emerged into this current proposal of Center for Engineering in Medicine, which was sort of meeting our requirements well, and were also sort of meeting the Mehta Family Foundation's requirements in some sense. So therefore, it was sort of mutually agreed upon that this is the final form of the proposal. And then we had a few visits between Mr. Mehta visiting us and we visiting him at Houston. And eventually, during his visit here, which was the last of the visits, he sort of confirmed that the foundation would go ahead with the establishment of the Center for Engineering in Medicine here. And that's how it all came about. And I think we started construction prior to the pandemic, got a little delayed because of the pandemic, and then we are now on the verge of inauguration. So this is the brief history, and I must say that it was a really nice journey, meeting with Mr. Mehta, his foundation colleagues, and also the advisors of the foundation, and they really interacted well with us, and we truly stood to benefit, and it went on in a very nice manner. So that's the brief history of how it came about.
It definitely sounds like a great start. Sir, can you please elaborate on what it is established for, or what is the objective of the center?
Right. So, in a way, I think this is the next stage of evolution for the BSB department. The department has been doing basic research in biological sciences and bioengineering, and now a time has come when we are ready to start delivering products, so do more translational work. We have the sufficient capacity in the department now, as well as we have opportunities of interacting with other faculty in the IIT campus from other departments to create these large teams from different departments on projects that are aimed at translation. So I think just things are coming together now,
Right.
and hopefully in the next few years we will start to see some ideas maturing towards translational potential.
So you mentioned that there was this to and fro of the proposal with the foundation. So what was finally the unique selling point of IIT because of which you were able to convince them? If not one, I'm sure there were multiple. But why did they end up choosing IIT Kanpur for their center?
Well, I mean, it was not like they chose us. It was also we approaching them
Sure.
as much. We approached them with this proposal, and we were in the domain of biological sciences and bioengineering, but we thought that our strengths, like Nitin rightly pointed out, going towards translation, would be good if we can talk about the involvement of engineering in medicine. So classically we are an engineering school, and we sort of put maximum energy and effort on our engineering based education. So we already have the strength of engineering, and we had the department almost completing 15-17 years. So we had the strength in biology or bioengineering, so to say. So we thought that the next step should be towards translation and moving towards medicine in particular.
Right.
Hence, engineering in medicine.
Right.
And that is also something that has got to do with the current day, I would say, challenges in treatment, in medicine in general, are sort of now benefiting a lot from engineering. It used to not be the case traditionally, but now you notice that there's a lot of interface between engineering and medicine. So therefore, going forward, the area itself was evolving that way.
Right.
And so it was very appropriate and opportune for us to set up a center for engineering in medicine.
So how is this going to be an extension of the biological department, apart from providing, biological department already is doing the engineering part of it with the bioengineering section. So how is this going to take a step forward from what is already happening?
It's actually not one step, it's multiple steps forward. We have the department which has its own main areas of emphasis. But the areas that have been identified for this center, there are primarily three areas.
Right.
And so one area is called regenerative medicine, the other area is called molecular medicine, and the third area is called digital medicine. Each one of these areas are frontier areas of the interface of engineering and medicine. So therefore, going forward, emphasizing these areas would not just be important, but it's also very should I say, contemporary and very forward-looking in that sense, and therefore it would lead to, hopefully, lead to technologies, development of technologies that are at the forefront of medicine. So
Right.
those would be. So hence the plan was set forth, and then later on, we had this fortune of setting up the med school, which came about. So
Right.
therefore, putting those things together, the whole biomedical, I would say, ecosystem at IIT Kanpur, involving the Department of Biological Science and Bioengineering, and now the Center for Engineering and Medicine, and of course, going forward, the School of Medicine. This whole ecosystem would, I think, really contribute strongly for the growth of this center.
Right. Now, picking up on the same thing, like how Sir mentioned that there is the biological sciences department and now the center, and then there is that upcoming medical school at IIT. So, how do you see all of them having their own individuality in their areas of work? Yet, I think Sir has already mentioned how they will all come together to actually take this like multiple times forward. But how do you maintain the individuality of each of the sections and their own individual works?
Right. So the department has a certain existence or certain identity within the IIT system. So a department can recruit faculty, can run graduate programs. So it has a certain statutory status or abilities that the department will provide. And the medical school will be operating the hospital, and it will be hiring doctors.
Right.
So that will have its own role in the IIT system. And Center of Engineering and Medicine can be thought of as the interface for connecting BSV to multiple departments and in future with the hospital as well. So it can act as the glue for these different entities coming together.
Right. So, are there already projects and work going on within the center, and how are students being able to utilize the facilities or the ongoings of whatever the services or facilities the center has to offer?
So we've already the faculty in the Department of Biological Science and Bioengineering are all affiliated to the center already. So we have aligned ourselves with the objectives of the center, so to say. Some of us already have pre-existing interests in those three main objectives,
Right.
and as a consequence, we are happy to further take that forward in the center. And some others who are not completely aligned are sort of having a part of their work aligning towards the objectives. So therefore, that is happening.
Okay.
From the point of view of students, it just is exposing or giving the students an opportunity to work at these interfaces of engineering and medicine, which in my opinion in classical engineering in any of the other IITs, it may not be a common thing to come across, leave alone common thing. It may be fairly rare to actually have the opportunity for a young undergraduate student to get exposed to these cutting edge areas which are at the interface of engineering and medicine.
Right.
It is fairly uncommon.
Right.
So hence I would think that from a student's perspective, it's a fairly unique opportunity. Now, just to go back on the point on the academic programs, so the department of course offers the bachelor's, master's, PhD program, but herein we have an opportunity to offer new programs which are fairly niche and specialized, and then therefore now the students may have an opportunity to get a direct opportunity to get into these programs.
Right.
A bachelor's in biological science and bioengineering and a master's possibly in one of these engineering and medicine areas. So therefore, I would say that it would not only allow them to just get an exposure or a hands-on for a short-term project, but may actually give them an academic degree as well in times to come.
So, have we already thought of some of these degrees or some of the offerings we are going to give to the students?
It was there as part of the proposal itself. We had mentioned that we would be offering newer master's degree programs, but we haven't actually gotten the whole proposal through in terms of our internal academic senate approvals.
Okay.
But I think it should be happening soon because this is the right time to do
It's
it.
a great opportunity for sure.
It is already initiated.
Yeah.
So a master's program will come first, and then depending on the success, then we may have more programs in the future.
Yeah, sounds great. If I may ask, in your own personal capacities, how are you involved with the center?
So I am currently the coordinator for the center, and I'm also actively involved in the digital medicine area. So one of the projects that we are doing is on developing digital tools for mental health, and going forward we plan to do more trials on it and make the tool publicly available.
So,
one of the areas is regenerative medicine. So my area of expertise, one of my areas of expertise is biomaterials and tissue engineering and drug delivery systems. all of them sort of align with regenerative medicine. Partly, you can say even molecular medicine, so two objectives. But I think tissue engineering is now almost becoming synonymous to regenerative medicine. So my lab, we work on regeneration or tissue engineering of musculoskeletal system, particularly cartilage, bone and ligament. So that is directly aligning with regenerative medicine.
Okay. And I'm sure when the center was being thought of or set up, or the proposal being drawn up, there's always a larger end goal that one looks at. So is there something like an outcome to be reached or an objective to be met, and any kind of timelines that we are looking at for any of those tick marks to kind of happen?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, it was already there in the proposal. So we actually intended two broad objectives. One was research and the other one was academics.
Right.
So we talked about academics briefly and research as well, but just to retouch upon that, so one of the goals is I should go back one step and talk again about this one sentence, that the frontier aspect is the involvement of engineering in medicine.
Right.
And so that aspect, as we go forward, is expected to lead to the development of newer ways in which we treat human diseases. So now, if you look at that from that point of view, then the next generation academicians, the next generation researchers in this domain should be trained both academically as well as in terms of the research. So therefore, the objectives were primarily those two alone. So therefore, we want to have master's, PhD students who train in this important area of engineering in medicine,
Right.
which as an area does not, you don't have it classically trained that way. You either classically train in engineering or classically train in medicine.
Right.
So here is an opportunity to do something which is at the interface.
Right.
So setting up these programs would also in some sense be very unique, and the people would get trained in a very niche area. And then people who would want to also do research. So therefore, research in this area would lead to technologies which would be frontier in terms of their treatment for medicine. So therefore, treatment for diseases. So therefore, both those are the main objectives broadly.
Right.
And then within that, these three main. While the proposal was meant for these three primarily, but going forward, I think there may be some seamless, overlap
Right.
happening between these. And so one cannot, straitjacket them.
Right.
For now, we have them as those three main areas.
Got it. Anything you would like to add, sir?
Right. We are also actively recruiting faculty members in these three areas. And so as Professor Katti had mentioned, that BSB department was reaching its capacity in terms of faculty strength. And MFCEM provides us an opportunity to, in terms of facilities and lab space, to expand more.
Right.
And in next 5 years, our goal was to double the capacity of our faculty strength, and we are actively moving towards that.
And just to add to that, as a department, we now have an opportunity to hire in these very interesting frontier areas.
Right.
So that's also very exciting.
Expands the entire horizon of the department
Yes.
also.
It's very exciting. It's a very exciting time for the department.
Great, sound brilliant.
It's important to mention at this point that had we not had a favorable interaction with the Mehta Family Foundation, this project would, of course, have been delayed and probably would not have seen the light of day as soon as it has seen it.
Right.
This is in spite of the pandemic.
Right.
We are in 2023. This is just a year and a half outside the pandemic, and we are inaugurating the building and starting. So therefore, I would say it has been a very good effort on part of IIT Kanpur's administration. It is tremendous effort. We worked through the pandemic, and it's also been a tremendous support from the Mehta Family Foundation. And not just the foundation, there are a large number of people who were involved beyond the foundation, the advisors and things like that. So therefore, I would think the three main players are IIT Kanpur's administration, the Mehta Family Foundation, and the faculty colleagues of BSB department.
Absolutely.
These are. So I would, on behalf of him as the coordinator, in general, want to thank all those people.
I should add that Professor Katti himself did a lot of this initial groundwork, and without that, I don't think we would have reached here. So special thanks to him for doing all that work initially. And I would also like to mention Professor Ganesh, who was the head when these discussions started, and then Professor Shankar Ramakrishnan, who was the next head, and they also contributed a lot in getting this through. And now Professor Amitabh Bandyopadhyay is contributing again in a large capacity. Professor Katti had also mentioned about the International Advisory Board that is there with the Mehta Foundation, and we have been in touch with them, and they have been very helpful in advising us on the areas and helping us in finding faculty members. And in particular, I want to mention Professor Shankar Subramaniam from UCSD, who has been involved with us from the very beginning. Even at the proposal writing stage, we had some discussions with him, and he was helpful in revising the proposal. And after that also, he has maintained active touch with us and in advising us on how to move forward.
And he's also going to be here at the opening.
Right.
Yeah, Professor Shankar Subramaniam, I too would like to acknowledge. He has been very actively involved since the point when we were working on the proposal till today. So he has been with us through the entire journey, and he is also a distinguished visiting professor to IIT Kanpur and
amazing.
Of course in our department.
Right.
So he has multiple hats and he is playing multiple roles to sort of support the department.
Well, something like this can only be a culmination of great people coming together with all their efforts going in. So we look forward to everything else at the center, the department, the school, everything is that is going to bring about at IIT. Thank you so much for giving us your time and for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.